not having that music, David is really good about adding some fun new tunes to set the stage for today. I am not play. So we're just going to keep on moving through the slides here. Today is all about Tableau and how to leverage Tableau Prep. We haven't had a Tableau Prep session in, I can't remember how long, if ever, from this national perspective. So excited to set the stage for the start of the calendar year, talking about data prep and how leveraging tools such as Prep can really set the stage for success in the Tableau environment. So here we are. There are three of us, and I'm just checking my other screen here. I still don't see David on here yet. We have up to 631 community members. So we keep growing every time we have one of these sessions. So that's super exciting to see this community really take hold and really value what we are doing here. That is my perspective of really that value add here. I used to work for a school district for nearly 16 years prior to joining the Plant Moran consulting firm. So I've been in education analytics for 20 plus years, near and dear to my heart. Want to make sure that I'm always staying connected when we talk students and data and how to make the biggest impact. Like that's what excites me during my day. So I'm glad that I'm able to still support the community in this space. For me, it's really all about making sure you have a platform to share and to connect, to learn from others, who can talk the same talk as you. I know I always struggled when I was working at the schools of having someone to bounce ideas off who understood the data or the complexity or the nuances. And so the fact that we have 631 members to share ideas with, I think is amazing. So I'm glad to be one of kind of the founding leaders of this national group. Been using the tool since 2013, have seen it evolved over time. And my fun new fact is there's a new addition to the family. So little Miss Finley, I put her little picture in there. Super excited. She's sleeping right now, but so no promises that you won't hear a little bark if I have a slide up on the screen. So I'm going to, David, you are here. I see you now. All right, I'll go ahead and let you do your introduction.
Hi, I'm David Ogden, checking in late, a little bit late, but glad that you're all here with us. We got 41 of you, or 30 some of you, bringing your sunshine to the Pacific Northwest, where we are cloudy, gray, and foggy. But that's not new for us. I work in the Renton School District as the assessment facilitator. We have had Tableau for many years now, almost a decade now. Yeah, that's terrific. And some fun facts about me. I coach American football. I coached American football in the Netherlands. I still coach American football in the fall to youth. And if you are ever in Seattle and hungry for a donut or a pastry, you can find great donuts and pastries on a map that I have on my LinkedIn profile. I am looking forward this year to going for my second time to the Tableau conference. We'll be talking a bit about that in our presentation today, and I'm looking forward to meeting all of you as many times as we can. Today we have a special guest. Priyanka is going to join us as a community spotlight. She's anticipating my questions, but I might throw some zingers just because that's the kind of guy I am. But anyways, we're glad that you're here, and over to Raquel.
Hi, hope everybody can hear me. I apologize for not having my camera on, but I'm all the way joining from Brazil, and the weather is a little bit unstable right now, so the connection is not great. My name is Raquel Vandenas. I'm a data visualization specialist. I've been working in education and data and technology for the past 10 plus years. Done everything from working in the classroom to building dashboards to help with analytics. Started with Tableau in 2021 and fell absolutely in love. I've been working together ever since. And my fun fact is that I absolutely love traveling and trying new foods. I've been to 19 countries and there's a lot more to go. So transitioning into our next meetings, the next one, it's March 4th, and we would like to do a K-12 show and tell. So I know I get a lot of inspiration from things that I see in this space. So we're inviting everybody to join us and share the dashboards that have been very helpful and that that's their go-to. So if you'd like to present, just please let us know in the chat. We are looking for presenters for that day. Following that, we have March 19th, the Education Data Visas in Tableau Public. And then the Tableau Conference, where we do have the K-12 networking event. And still deciding on a topic for June 2026.
So I'll just put a plug in here. If you are interested in being part of the show and tell, the attendance behavior course dashboards, any piece that you want to share, you can add it into the chat. You can direct message us or email the leadership team after this. How we envision, how we'd love to see this play out would be a handful of you, doing just a mini presentation, if you even want to call it a presentation, not having to present for 30 minutes, but, maybe 5 or 7. And so if you are hesitant about, doing a full presentation through one of these meetings, maybe this is a great opportunity and a little less scary for some of you who this is not your thing for presenting. So if you want to share dashboard or two for less than 10 minutes, this is a great opportunity. So would love to have more participation, and I think this is a great way for some to present at the National K-12 for the first time. So all right, a little extra plug in there, hoping we get some traction in the chat.
So another piece of Tableau that's very DataFam, which is just people coming together and just sharing and helping each other grow. So if you are new to the community, there's a lot of resources out there, and a great place to start is in the link showing in the screen, and we will put it in the chat very soon. And more specifically on the next slide, we have the K-12. I was really just looking at the Tableau Tuesday demonstrations. They have some great sessions coming up this year, so that's also another great place to find inspiration and find tools that can be very helpful in our day-to-day trying to improve student data and analytics. So those are awesome resources. I'm always going into them just to learn more and grow. There's also the K-12 Tableau networking document. So if you can put your information there so we can stay in touch and just get to contact with each other.
All right, looks like if I'm looking at my other screen here, David is adding some of those links in there. If you're not keeping track of those links in the chat, you'll be able to access the recording that should be posted on the event page within 24 hours. And there should have links out on that community page as well. So if you're trying to massively keep track of this growing chat that's running here. Okay, so the Tableau Learning Hub, again, another link that will be available for you. There's a ton of great resources out there for you to just continue to grow your skills. And so we'll have that link here. Going through the trailhead, not sure if any of you have gone through that and earned any of your badges. If you do want to do a self shout out in the chat to talk about some of the badges that you have, that would be fun to see. You can lean into different aspects of the learning, the different topics that you're wanting to kind of dive into. If you're wanting to grow your data modeling skills or just even explore what that looks like. Sometimes we enter a job at the schools with kind of a little bit narrow lens, but we know that the us of you all continue to grow day by day. And so likely there's an opportunity for some professional development to keep you growing in your career. So check that out. I think a great way to get inspiration and to grow those skills is just to see what everyone else is doing. So make sure that you're signing up for that visit of the day. Sometimes they're very artsy and maybe not a direct crosswalk to what you're doing at the district. But I think it's always good to take a piece of something and think, can I work that into? Or even if it's the color or the layout, there's usually pieces that you can kind of get inspired from. So check that out. Tableau Public, where that visit the day is. Make sure that you're going out there using that search function, looking for topics for inspiration, getting connected with the authors of those visits, seeing if you can, if they have it available to download the workbook and maybe backwards engineer it. I know that is going to be a topic that we're going to, make sure we build in over the next couple sessions, but great opportunity there. When I started my journey back in 2013, I really loved being able to go into public, get inspiration and backward engineer. So I think that was one of my biggest learning pieces. So make sure you're checking that out. Sometimes you forget to go in, and maybe if you make it a reminder once a month to go in and do a search, might be a great way to keep that on your calendar. I'm going to hand it over to David.
And these are some of the exciting things that you can find on Tableau Public. We often do these as a mention of what day it is today in the national calendar. And today is International Kite Day. So in the chat, get your fingers ready. We would like to know, are you a person who likes to fly kites, as in these kite tracks here, but this is actually the kite tracks on kite sailing. So are you a kite sailor kind of person? Let us know if you're a kite sailor person, or if you're just somebody who likes this kind of kite diagram. So sailing or just colorful diagram, let us know. Which is your choice? Put it in the chat. We got some diagrams from Deanna. Virginia likes to fly kites, or see people watch fly kites. Lots of diagrams, kites. Oh, Bart, you haven't flown a kite in 50 years. Well, you've got to get out there and try to do better than Charlie Brown. All right, say some diagrams, terrific. So yes, International Kite Day. Thank you for your terrific participation. And surprising to my co-host, yes, today is cesarean section day as well. And they saw, David, that's kind of an unusual choice. But yes, it is a medical procedure. And so if you think about Caesar as a medical procedure, or if you think about it as Little Caesar's Arena, you let us know. Are you more medical procedure or more sports arena? Medical procedure, sports arena, or just neither, because you really shouldn't have picked that day. What do we got here? Virginia likes pizza, so that's good. Ginny says neither. Sports arenas, pizzas. There we go. We're getting more arenas and pizzas. Well, thank you, Kiara, for at least one medical procedure, C-section. Terrific. And then also today, believe it or not, is National Take the Stairs Day. So make sure you get up from your screens, get up from your dashboards. And here are two dashboards. One about the step change, about exercise and how to do that. And the other is my hometown, Seattle, and all of the different stairs here. We're on big hills here. And thank you, Tom, laughing too hard to type. Terrific. We got really big hills here, and here's a map of them that you can find also on Tableau Public. But the big idea here again is Tableau Public has a lot of terrific inspiration. Doesn't always have to be fancy. Some of them are more fancy, some less fancy. But the thing that you can do is you can download these things and use it as a template for yourself, so you don't have to do all the engineering from the beginning. Now, have you thought about this? We've sent you a couple of messages, but you only have 2 more days left. Well, 3 including today, to send in your conference proposal. Now, the Tableau general people who are organizing this conference really want some more education-oriented ones. So they're saying to me, David, please have more people apply. Don't be shy. We've had some terrific people present before. You might be one of them who's already presented, or who would like to present. Tableau is a great place to present. You have a variety of different proposal types you can do. But let's get out there. Let's put it out there. Let's show everybody how much you can do, how much terrific you are. It's great for you. You get a free entrance to the conference as well. Not everybody that sends in something gets invited, and that's okay, but give it a try. Don't be shy. I will see you there. I have put in a presentation. I am not expecting the presentation to be selected because who knows, but I will see you there, and I'll be cheering you on from the side, whether you're selected or whether you're just attending. So put it in your calendar as well if you're looking forward to attending. They will have some announcements out about the prices and that sort of stuff, and they will again have a works for a government price compared to the normal price, as well as early bird pricing. So who doesn't love San Diego in May? It's a wonderful place to be and an opportunity for you.
Talking about Tableau Conference, one of my favorite things of the year is RMVis. There's about 122, I believe, presentations that were submitted this year. And the theme is food and drinks, which is totally my thing. And you can go in and explore those visualizations and get explorations. And quite honestly, I learned a whole lot about food and drinks just by looking at them. And before Dave can get me to it, I will post a link on the chat. So you can also go there and learn some very interesting things about food and drinks.
Many of you may have been part of the community that was once on a different website. They moved the community. This is our user group. You're now logged into our user group. We also have a community where you can ask questions, put in announcements and that sort of thing. And this new address here is where the community has moved. We talked about this in November, but I just wanted to make sure you were aware if you haven't seen it since then, like where did it go? It is a community where you'll see I am the most frequent poster, but you can be a frequent poster as well, where you can ask questions, get answers, and add more to our community specific for K-12 education. And this area also has lots of other places where you can find information, get answers. There's a lot of different communities out there. There are local communities that are geographically based. There are communities that are around sports or pastries and other things that are related to Tableau. If you're new to Tableau, they have a newbies. If they have communities as well called Makeover Mondays and Workout Wednesdays that give you a chance to give you a specific Tableau data sheet to work with and show what you've been able to do to make it better. All sorts of ways to practice your skills, learn more wherever you are, at what level, to get better at your Tableau and learn more about the software. And now is a chance for you to share your own announcements. We've done enough talking. Now get your fingers ready again and go ahead and tell us what's new for you. Is your birthday coming up? Do you have a promotion? Do you have an opportunity for others? Let us know what's going on in your life. Oh, and I should have changed the slide. It's now not November 25. This is January 26.
So while everyone is contemplating and thinking of all the great things that have happened, and they're wanting to type into the chat, David, do you want to take over screen share to do the wheel?
You bet. Kate, going into grad school. Nice. Congratulations on your admission. I have Monday off. Maybe many of you have Monday off as well. Oh, daughter getting married, Carol. Terrific. Jennifer also got a new puppy. Oh, that's right. Yeah, puppies are a lot of work. Well, lots of good stuff going on. We appreciate you all sharing your things. I just got to catch up here. And here we are. Yes, so we are glad that you're here because today you could win a fabulous prize, a $50 gift certificate to the Tableau store. Yes, we'll be giving away 2 cards, so stay to the end. One will be early, one will be later. If you're not eligible, let us know and we'll drop you out of the list. But what happens is we spin a big wheel of names that you are in already. I just got to get there. Here's all your names. We're going to click to spin to win, and we'll do that 2 times. But first, we have the Community Spotlight. And today's Community Spotlight comes to you with Priyanka Aggarwal, who comes to you also from the West Coast. Thank you, West Coast. Alameda County Office of Education, there in Alameda County, which has lots of big cities in it. It is just east of, where's my stop share? It is just east of San Francisco. And Priyanka, welcome.
Hello, everyone. Thank you, David.
We're glad to have you here today. Yeah, can you tell us a little bit about yourself?
I'm Priyanka Aggarwal. I'm Program Manager of Data and Analytics at the Alameda County Office of Education. So Alameda County is one of 58 counties in California. And as David just mentioned, we are east of San Francisco, East Bay. And so we have 18 school districts with over 200,000 students. And my role here is to help districts use data in meaningful ways for their planning and improvement, and support them in using state data like the California School Dashboard, which our state puts out every year. And in this role, I also lead a county-wide data and assessment network where district teams come together to discuss real problems of practice around data collection, reporting, and how they share their data with their educational partners. So I think a big part of my work here is to make data feel accessible. I want people to open a dashboard and feel curious, not intimidated, because that's something we come across a lot in this work.
Wow, that's right. Now, have we ever met before?
I have been attending this meeting. I love this group, and I don't think we have met.
I don't think so either. So you're
yeah.
not a plant. You're just a person that was just picked out of the air and agreed to do this. I just want to make sure that people know that
looks like it.
it doesn't, and you feel safe.
Yes,
Terrific.
I feel honored to be here.
Yeah, well, thank you, because we're going to have more community people. So here's how it goes. So we're really excited to see you. It does sound like you deal with a lot of data. How did you get introduced to Tableau?
So prior to my current role, I was working at a school district, and that's where I first used Tableau. So I was tasked to build a process to collect and analyze data for these intervention sessions that were being implemented. And we didn't have a Tableau license at the time, so I used Tableau Desktop to create a prototype. And that, when I shared that with my director, she got super excited. Like, just it seemed like the world of possibilities had just opened up. Like, oh, this is possible, and that's where my Tableau journey began.
And what was the first kind of dashboard or worksheet that you built?
So I
If you remember.
Yeah, no, I don't remember exactly what it looked like because it morphed over time, and the first, like the first prototype is just a first prototype, and it really changes. But my my work is I don't use a lot of fancy charts. It's a lot of bar charts, line charts, and tables because even when I've used a stack chart, it makes people get confused. So I've noticed that keeping it simple is something that really helps people just understand what is being presented.
And do you have, what version of Tableau are you using now?
I use, oh gosh, that I do not remember.
That's okay.
Yeah, I hope I updated to the latest version.
Okay, so you hope you have the most
Yes.
latest and greatest. Yeah. And does your organization use a server or cloud now?
Yeah, so I use a lot of Tableau Public to build out dashboards for statewide. I build a lot of dashboards for student performance, attendance, and the metrics that the districts have to incorporate in their local control accountability plan, which is the yearly plan they develop. And so I use a lot of Tableau Public, but we are also building a data warehouse in our where we will be we'll have nightly sync up of all the districts' SIS data. And now we are setting up Tableau Cloud as well. So we use some Tableau Cloud, but it has not been used to its full capacity. And we are now building prototypes for Tableau Analytics on top of that data warehouse, which is something we are super excited for. We feel like it's going to inform the work at county office. A lot of the teams in the county office have been asking for more real-time data. So when the state publishes it, it's already from the year before, and we are kind of acting on what has already happened. So that data warehouse will will enable us to put in place more real-time analytics and some kind of early warning indicator kind of dashboards to track their current attendance rate and such things.
Yeah, nice. And what dashboard are you working on now, or what are you analyzing now with Tableau?
So in November, really, the state of California released its California State Dashboard. That's one of the biggest releases. So I built a dashboard for our districts, and where they can. So California School Dashboard publishes data for each district and school, and it's disaggregated by student group. But then districts struggle sometimes looking at like a snapshot view, one-click snapshot view of how all their student groups are doing or all their schools are doing. So I built some visualizations to help those conversations. That was really well received. So now I'm developing something similar for charter schools because our office also works with some charter schools.
Oh, congratulations. I'm glad it was well received. Well done. And do you ever use Tableau outside of work? Do you make coffee diagrams or?
Not that much. Yeah, it's when I worked with especially with the data and assessment network that I lead, those conversations are really like something that are always working behind my head, like to come up with some ideas on what else can be developed, how else can the data be presented to help those conversations move forward. So yeah, I've not used Tableau much in my personal life. Maybe some area to explore more.
Yeah. And do you have a favorite feature of Tableau? Something like, oh, I'm so glad that's there.
Well, this may sound very basic, but I really, really love the interactivity and the ease of sharing dashboards with Tableau, because that's what really changed when we started using Tableau. So when before Tableau, we were using Google Sheets, and then any new request meant that we have to duplicate the charts and duplicate the sheets and tables. But with Tableau, it's just setting up some more filters, and then the uh, the new dashboard is prepared, like if people have more questions coming up. And as I mentioned, I use a lot of Tableau Public. I like how so when I'm creating when I'm using public data that the state has released and creating some dashboards for our districts, Tableau makes it very easy to really create it for statewide use, so everybody can benefit from it, and we're not really repeating the same work.
Yeah, no, I agree that they've made so many improvements at Tableau Public recently. It's really easy to create there, really easy to share your non-public information, things that are aggregated up. That's terrific. And I agree also, I always go to that little thing when I create a dashboard, like make this a filter too. So it creates that interactivity. I love that. Yeah. And now thinking back to the young Priyanka, the younger Priyanka, what would you tell someone if they were just starting out with Tableau now?
So one thing that I feel is initially when I was started analyzing, I was looking at, okay, how can I make this into a pretty chart? But what I learned over time is start with the people, not the dashboard. So kind of start thinking about what questions are they trying to answer, and how are they going to use this, and how is this going to facilitate the conversations or get them to ask more questions when they look at these charts. So I feel like when any data sparks more question instead of fear, that's when it's really powerful. And just keeping designs really simple. I know this has been said many times, but I really believe in this, like keeping designs very simple, and so it's just understandable and useful.
That's a really great tip. Start with the people, keep it simple, and make people want to ask more questions. Not about what you're showing, but about what the data provides.
Yes.
You don't want
Yeah,
them, like you say, you don't want them asking like, how do I interpret this stacked bar chart? But you want to say,
exactly.
oh, I
Yeah.
see from this chart that this could be
There, this
something.
is where,
Tell me
yeah, this
more.
is where I see some gaps.
Yeah,
What can I
yeah,
explore further,
yeah.
and where do I go from
That's
this? Yeah.
wonderful. And then you got a comment too, like, great point. Well done. Yeah. So thank you very much. We're glad that you're here. If you can, for me, if you could do the two favors. One, make sure you drop in the chat your Tableau public so other people can see your great work. And two, because you are the first presenter, this is the time when we're going to spin the wheel as well. So if you could help me spin the wheel and announce the winner, that would be great. Would you be okay with that?
All right. So how do I go about that?
Okay, so let me share the wheel here. Okay, now you just tell them to click.
Okay, clicked.
There we go. And here we are. And the winner is
Nick. Nick Sigmund. Yay.
Hey, congratulations,
Congratulations.
Nick. Congratulations, Nick. You are the winner of the thing. So, Nick, make sure you let me know that you're still here. Oh, yes, you are here. Terrific. And I'll send out my email address here. Just send me an email to where you want to have your um, uh, uh, prize. The prize is $50. Now I can remember $50 gift certificate to the Tableau store.
Well, thank you, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. And now we get our next presenter. And our next presenter was last time's Community Spotlight. And she liked it so much, she said, yes, let me share more. When we talked about the idea of Tableau Prep, she said, I use Tableau Prep. I'm ready to share. So, Kate, well, turn it over to you. Would you want to drive or you want me to share the screen?
I can drive.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Kate Ory. I'm the data and assessment analyst at Chico Unified School District. That's my little LinkedIn QR code there. But I'll put my email in the chat later too if anybody wants to connect. A little bit about Chico Unified. We are that tiny little orange dot is our county. Well, it's also our school district up in Northern California. We have 12 elementary schools, 3 junior highs, 2 comprehensive high schools, 4 alt-ed sites, 2 special program schools, and 1 online school that I always forget to put on this chart. And that's kind of our basic outline of where all of our schools are. So we have about 12 to 13,000, depending on the year, students enrolled. And today I'm talking about some basic tips and tricks for people just getting started out in Tableau Prep, or who want to kind of remember their basics or get some good healthy tips. One of the most important things that I've found, especially starting out or with a big project, is starting with the end in mind, knowing where you're trying to get your raw data to. Sometimes it helps to sketch out structure if you're a visual person. I'm more of a charts and graphs kind of person, and I suspect a lot of you are too. And so what I often do is just kind of create an outline. So this is actually what Priyanka was talking about earlier. This is for our LCAP and SIPSA, our state reporting data that we do every year. So I exported all of the metrics we needed into Excel sheet, and I outlined whatever our numerators were going to be, our denominators were going to be, and this is 50 something measures all coming together. So I wanted to make sure I was using Tableau Prep to make it all the same and make it all work together. So on the top there is all of the details we have, and the bottom there is how I want my data to look at the end. I want these 12 or so fields, and each of them is a string except for the couple of integers there and the date timestamp. This also helps me when I'm explaining what I'm doing to my boss when he comes in and asks what's going on or for a status update. For the big projects that I know will have a lot of eyes on them or have a lot of impact in the school district, I will make sure to put together a tech specs like this data guide, so that I know what I'm talking about when I'm explaining what every measure is, and how everything's working. And that helps to kind of establish what you're looking for as you go along. My second big tip is to keep your flow clean and readable. This and the previous one are part of what I call hit by a bus. If you get hit by a bus tomorrow, somebody else should be able to take over your work pretty easily and understand it. When I was in high school, I was in a tech program, and one of our lead techs got a concussion playing football and had to learn how to use a computer, and nobody could help him with all of his projects because they were all messy and all over the place and had his own special version of everything on it, and he had to relearn and recover completely before he could do his work again. He recovered completely, everything's fine. But it was very frustrating for him that he didn't have a guide in place, and it's very frustrating when you are helping somebody and they can't tell you what anything is. So use containers. Containers are these little these little folders that hold pieces of your flow together. So if you have a really complicated flow, you can outline a chunk of it, add a container, and it turns a bunch of this on the left into these little folders on the right, and you can open them up. This example flow right here is our honors placement for junior high and freshman year. And you can see for each step, I labeled, okay, this filter is all the kids who got an A in honors. And the one beneath it is everyone who was a grade above, but not necessarily in honors. And then this is everyone on the waiting list. And then I named the steps clearly, and I added short annotations underneath so that when I'm trying to explain to a parent who's calling and asking why their kid didn't get into honors, I can say, oh, they didn't pass this step, so here are the 4 things that they needed to do to pass, and I can explain which ones they didn't pass. So those are kind of the goal behind annotation, is both for people taking over and also people who just want to understand what you're doing and where that data is being filtered. The biggest thing that Tableau has for us is the profile plane, which lets you look at your data in an easy way as you're going through each step. So in each step, when you click on the logo for the step, mostly in clean steps is when I do this, you can see an outline of what is in your data. So these are all the possible values in each field, and then you can see by the gray bars how many of those values are filled by those different things. And it's great for just checking to make sure your data looks like you expect it to look. So I go in there and I look for null values or data mismatches where for some reason my course names are mixed in with my scores. That means I did something crazy and I need to go back and figure it out. Or outliers, like you can see in this data set. Actually, I'll show you in just a second some outliers. And then field distributions. So if you have you expect 3 values in there, but you have 40 values, again, you can be like, okay, I messed up on a previous step, but I can go back and check out my joins and my unions, or even my source data. So for this example, this is just me clicking on the profile pane in that same flow that I showed you earlier. This is the one grade above step. And so you can see all my filters that happened over there. So you can kind of backtrack and see if, oh man, I said keep only values equal to or greater than 750, but I really meant to do 850. That's why I have so many extras or so few. Or, you know, I filtered on the wrong field. Then you can also, in addition to that preview with the all the values, underneath it is the actual lines of data. And I glance at this and I see a lot of nulls under highest IRL. And if I'm just looking at this with no context, that would freak me out. But I happen to know that that only applies to 5th graders. So it makes sense that there's a lot of nulls there. But you can still glance through and make sure everything is just as expected. It's a nice little check on your data, but also it makes you feel better about knowing what things are. You're not doing this blindly. And you can also click on each one of those fields or click and hold down Control to click on another one of those values and see just those relevant fields down below, which helps a lot. So if you want to just look at the kids with a vocabulary level of 1300 or greater, you click on that one, and then you can kind of glance down and make sure the other data matches what you're expecting. Another tip is to fix data types immediately. It's one of those things that seems really basic, but it's what breaks everything in unions and as it joins as you go down. So it's one of my biggest things is as soon as I put that new data source in, I will go through and make sure all the fields I'm using have the right are strings or integers or dates instead of date time is a big one. And make sure that the strings actually have, or the strings actually have strings in them and the integers actually have integers in them. Sometimes, like with IXL data that you were just saying over there, there's the top score is 1300 plus, which is really frustrating because that turns my integers into strings. And so I convert that into integers and I consider that 1300 our cap, and I understand that as I go forward. And sometimes Tableau really likes to default to booleans on some things to make, if it doesn't understand a data point, it often makes it true false. And so going through and changing that as needed. You can also go through and just look for misaligned types as you go through your clean steps if something changed based on a calculation you did and you didn't mean to. And it prevents issues with joins that break and sometimes unions get confused down the way. It's one of those things that's really easy to do at the beginning rather than realizing you're broken halfway through. And it saves a lot of headaches. The one of the big tips too is using the clean steps generously. You might have noticed on that that honors one, I have clean steps basically after everything I do. I have a clean step and I use it first to check the data using that profile pane. Like, does this look like I want it to look? But then I also like realize, oh, I have a list of cities on there and some are capitalized and some aren't. And there's a lot of good clean tools in there that you can make them all sentence case. You can group them by pronunciation. You can group them by spelling. I will say I have a lot of bad luck with grouping automatically. But if you clear out spaces and you create case rules, either sentence case or all lowercase or all uppercase, it'll bring that count of values way down if you have 6 different spellings of New York or 6 different approaches to that. You can also trim and standardize. That's that same case issue and spacing. I like to, especially if I'm working on a big project like LCAP, I want to make sure all my schools are the same version of the school name across everything I'm doing. I don't know if anybody else runs into this, but we have Marsh Junior High School, which is also Harry Hank Marsh Junior High School, which is also Hank Marsh Junior High School in whatever report I'm looking at. And so making sure that I'm using the same version of the high school name or the junior high school name. We have Chico High School. It's also Chico Senior High School. Depending on who's giving me a file, it's very frustrating. But trimming and standardizing, make sure that it's going to be the same, and especially if you're combining data sources down the line that you've created, making sure you're using the same version. Some big use cases that need to be cleaned up are date and time. Tableau will almost always turn a date into a date and time. It just makes it midnight on that day, which makes it actually take longer to process, which is frustrating, but will also make it really confusing when you're trying to check the data. You have all these extra characters in your fields. Integers versus strings, that's a kind of case I was talking about earlier, where sometimes there's like an extra plus or minus in there that turns your integers into strings. I also have issues because I like to use my student ID numbers as strings because that's the type of data it is. I don't want any addition or subtraction going on with my student ID numbers. And Tableau really wants those to be integers, so you have to switch them back to strings. Any name inconsistencies, I recently compared scores, state testing scores by teacher over the last 6 years, and I learned that the way that we put teachers' names into our SIS in the last 6 years has changed. And so we have, Smith, S, Smith, Stacy, Smith, space S. And so making sure that those naming inconsistencies get cleaned up. You can use splits, you can use clear spaces and things like that. And then, like I said, school names. And spaces are the tricky ones that show up in there. So clearing extra spaces is my first step when things are going wrong and I don't know how to fix it. Because somebody will put a space at the end of a word or double space between the comma and the state abbreviation or things like that. One of the big issues for beginners with Tableau Prep is understanding the difference between a join and a union. And the big difference is that join add columns, so it makes your data wider, and unions add rows. So if you have all the same field names and you just want to add them as extra rows, you use a union. And if you have two data sets with one thing in common or two things in common, use a join, and it adds columns and it makes your data wider. So it merges those tables side by side versus stacking them on top of each other. And then after joining, always go through and check those values that you joined on, because you will have double copies of them. So if you joined on student ID number, you'll have ID and ID-1. And if you joined completely with no left or right, if it was just a center join, that's a complete copy, and you got to delete that, because at least it causes me headaches down the line when I'm then messing around with things and I have this extra field. And pivoting is another key concept in Tableau Prep. That pivoting works in a number of ways in all the different systems that we use. In Tableau, it can be a little touchy, but as long as you know what you're doing, it works pretty well. So pivoting either moves your data like this to like this, or like this to like this, from columns to rows or rows to columns. I use it a lot with survey data, because I will often get an ID number, a question, and then their response, a question, and then their response. And so each column is a question, but what I really want is an ID number, all of the questions, and all of the responses, because I want to standardize those, and then I want to be able to calculate on those responses afterward. So you'll just add that pivot in there, drag all your questions over, and now you have a column for questions, a column for response. This is also really handy when you have a survey in multiple languages and you union them together. You can then group the agree and agree in whatever language you're also adding. We do a lot of our parent surveys in English and Spanish, and so I have to group all the responses together so that we have an even playing field going forward, and we're not just saying whoever the percentage of parents who agreed in English and the percentage of parents who agreed in Spanish. And it works super well. And then kind of as I said with polling steps, validating as you build is super important. You can create intermediate steps where once you do something, especially if it's something super complicated, just create an output step, run it out, open it up in a workbook and see if it looks like what you expect. Sometimes that preview pane is very conceptual and you want to just see how it's going to interact in a workbook. And so you can create an output. You can call it whatever you want, just so you know that it's like step one of this process. And you can see to make sure that it's making sense. This is especially good if things aren't quite making sense. So you can see where it's broken. I know that if I can't figure it out in prep, I'll throw an output on there and I'll figure it out in a workbook. You can compare record counts, just making sure that you're not losing rows or columns as you go along. If you're doing that, double check that you are not, that if it's a big file in that raw data, you are not using a filter on there. Not a filter. Sometimes they do a data preview, and so you need to make sure you're on maximum data preview so that it's not automatically losing rows. And that intermediate check can double check that for you too. Like if you suddenly lose rows and you can't see where that problem is, you can do an intermediate check, pull out an output, and it's like, oh, yeah, no, I really do have the same 13,000 ID numbers. I've just been doing so much to it that it's giving me a preview instead of all of them. And then that allows you to catch issues early, because it's a lot harder to be 50 steps into a flow and realize that you're using the wrong ID number and have to go all the way back to step 3, and then you have to fix everything after that. It can get a little mind-numbingly frustrating at that point. So if you validate as you go, you don't have to do that quite as much. And that's really all I had to say. Are there any questions?
Yes. So people have started to type in questions. That's terrific. I gotta agree with you. You taught me new things. I didn't know about containers either. That was a great learning for myself and for Jennifer Reedman. You both use Prep a lot. We didn't know about containers. Stephanie's been saying, yes, these are all great steps. Make sure you follow these. Validation is really important. The first question we had came from Lisa. She said, what resources did you use to learn Tableau Prep?
So I did take the official Tableau class. I did that before Salesforce, that original set of classes. And it taught me kind of the basics, but really what I did to learn was just do projects. You start with a project that you've already done, or I think what I really did was start with a project that really frustrated me in going directly into desktop. And I was like, there has to be a better way. So I threw it in prep and I just practiced and saw what happened. And so just a lot of practice like that. I've done a fair amount of, whatever trainings I can find, but I find that very few of them really do much work in prep. And so it's really just a lot of practice.
Did you ever use Power BI? Antoinette's wondering if there's anybody that has a reference for a comparison between Tableau and Power BI.
I didn't use Power BI, but there's a lot of resources out there that will give you guides for both, and going back and forth between the Stephanie Evergreen courses do that.
Stephanie Evergreen courses, okay.
Yeah, they're really good. And you have like lifetime access to a bunch of different guides, and it'll give it to you in Excel, Power BI, Tableau, and a bunch of others that I don't remember.
Yeah, okay. Jennifer asks, how do you set a maximum data preview? She sometimes runs into issues where her data is being sampled.
Let me see if I can pull something up real quick. This is when it's very slow to process, of course.
Yeah, that's all right. We'll get there. We've got a couple other questions as we wait for that processing.
Yeah.
One is, how is the performance of your implementation of Tableau Prep?
It doesn't usually take that long.
Approximate a number of records in your data set. Yeah.
Oh, far too many. We have a lot. In fact, we're moving from server to cloud this summer, and we're trying to figure out how to do that because we have so many data sources.
So many sources, yeah.
And a lot of, and I apparently use Prep more than most people. So if you go into your data source in a flow, and you go to data sample, you can do automatic. You can.
Oh, we're not seeing that yet. You maybe have two screens or something.
Oh, you know what? It might not let you see. Here, let me. Oh, that's too bad.
But yes, it is fairly straightforward. I'll probably drop in a link as well where it's demonstrated. But it is one of the things that defaults to a sample number, and then you actually have to check it to say I want a maximum of X number. It is true that Prep slows down as the more it's trying to analyze, and it does like tall data more than wide data. So the fewer number of columns that you have helps that if you have lots and lots of rows.
Yeah.
And Jenny asked if there's going to be a download link for this presentation for future reference. Yes, of course, you provided really good stuff there. So this will go up in a couple of hours. There will be the link to the slides, and there'll also be the link to this video so you can watch them together. Let's see if we have more in the chat here. Fabula wonders, do you have a problem with Tableau Prep freezing and having to force the app close?
No, in fact, I mean, rarely. I have issues sometimes on the server prep. If there's too much data going on there, I will download and I will open it with desktop prep, and then it's fine. And that's usually when I'm looking at the statewide data files that have, detailed data for every site in the state. So it's only on the really big files, and I download and it works just fine. So you might have a setup issue.
Well, the other thing we've experienced is depends on your processor, on the computer you're using as well, because it is trying to sort through a lot of stuff. So could it have to do with the setup or file size? Yes, it really could do with your processor and your computer speed or how the files are set up as well. Yeah, there's some other hints about that we can find it and drop into the chat. I really appreciate all the things that you showed and the work that you've done. It's really great. Let's give her applause in the chat and everything. Oh, let's see. Were there two more questions? Oh yeah, we got a couple more. Let's see. How do you ensure that size level data is restricted so that only personnel assigned, site level data is restricted so only personnel assigned to that site can view it?
So in a workbook, you can use row level security. And so what I do is I have my users are all grouped by site and level. So I have my Shasta Elementary admin, and I have all my district administrators all in groups. And then in Tableau Workbook, and I've found that it doesn't work well on server. I have to download and use Tableau Desktop to make it work the way I want it to. You add filter based on user, and then I go through and I say, okay, and I go by school, and I just click the school, and then I click the group associated with that. So I'll usually do admin and support for each of those, unless it's something very sensitive, that I'll just do admin. So each site gets its own. It's a little bit of a pain, but it's a lot easier than having to make a separate workbook for each school.
Yeah, there are different ways to automate the securities that people fall automatically into groups once they join, and or to put them in their own security groups. Yeah. Robert Kramer, former co-lead at the time, thank you, Robert, go ahead, says, with a district as large as yours, how do you manage upkeep of users, their employment status, their buildings, and job groupings?
So for just plain users, we are tied to Microsoft Access. So they only exist if they exist in our system. And then they can only exist if they exist in our system. And then I import them as admin changes, which really only happens at the semester, except in very rare cases. And we only have admin access. And so we have about 150 users. So it's not a ton. And I put them into groups, and I spend a little bit of time between, right before school starts, and then a little bit around the turn of the semester, just in case something happened, making sure everybody's in the right groups. But we don't have a ton of change. That's all of our admin, our teacher leaders in our MTSS program, and our TCMs, our targeted case managers, because we do a big data confirmation push through there, and TCMs need access to that.
Yeah. So big districts, but 150 users.
Yeah.
Thanks, everybody. Hope to make sure you check the applause. Bart, I'm going to answer your questions on the fly here as we go. Everybody's giving you applause and thank yous. So sharing them, it is a great, because I'm the assessment facilitator, I really like great feedback. Here's great feedback from Tracy, saying appreciate your sharing your methods, obstacles, and pro tips. Learning how these practices serve your work is encouraging for their Tableau journey. That's what we're looking for. Thank you for that really nice comment, Tracy. We're going to go now, moving on to the second gift card. It's prize time again. Prize time again. Here we go. The wheel of names is about to spin again. And if you came in late, yes, we did add your names. Your names have been added if you came late. Oh, there's some blank spots. And oh my goodness. Hooray. Congratulations, Carol. Send me your email and we will get to that. We have another presenter and we're looking forward to Ginny coming up next. We'll keep on going quickly. Ginny's going to show us how she uses Tableau Prep to improve her special ed compliance. So, as we can say, so as you're doing, so Bart was wondering if Tableau Prep is a separate purchase. He also said, by the way, it's a great presentation. It was answered. It's generally included in your license. They actually don't sell Tableau Prep separately from Tableau. So if you buy Tableau the product, then you can get Tableau Prep with it, but you can't get Tableau Prep without a Tableau desktop. So there's that question. And there was the other question here. If somebody is familiar with virtual connections, please contact Jenny Lou Garcia. She's acquired a data source system using virtual connections. And so that's what she's wondering, if that using Tableau Prep with virtual connections. Thank you, Jenny Lou, for your question. All right, over to you, Ginny.
All right, thank you. I was asked to present by our Salesforce rep because using Tableau and a little bit of Tableau Prep, we've come up with some special ed dashboards, which actually helped our district to win the Harvard Excellence in Education Award for 2025. And well, more importantly, these dashboards allowed our special ed staff to get very active in staying compliant with data. So we are a school corporation. We're the 10th largest in Indiana, and over 25 schools, over 13,000 students, over 2,400 employees, lots of special ed students, TORs, and staff. And not quite as big as Kate, but we're getting up there. I mean, we serve 9 neighborhoods. We have 3 high schools. We're working on having an alternative school. What was happening is that in the beginning, the special ed staff would have to get into PowerSchool and download reports or look up information for students. They'd have to go to, when I first started working on this, we were using a different special ed monitoring system from the state, and they'd have to look up data there, or they'd rely on one of the staff members to download data and send it to them. So it was very manually intensive and tedious, took so much time. And the problem was they weren't, they spent so much time trying to figure out what was going on, they weren't spending their time with students. And we had a lot of missed deadlines just on a regular basis. And so I had, there was one dashboard that already existed, and somebody had created it long before I started here. And they used it so that they could look at IEP compliance data to see when did a annual review have to be done. And they put together a dashboard that would say, here is the student's name, here's when the annual review has to be done, hasn't been done, hasn't it been done, and they could see the detail information, and then they could see some very data for their schools or for their district. So this was the first dashboard. Like I said, it was created before I joined, and this is what you would see at the district level. So you could see that, for our Adams High School, that 248 are compliant, 11 are approaching. That means that the annual review date is coming up within 30 days, and had 19 overdue. Now, these numbers don't necessarily look real bad now. It's because we've been using these dashboards for over a year now. In the beginning, these numbers were that the overdue was much higher. You can see percentage completion by school. More importantly, for our actual staff, though, that are working with students, they could look here and see that this student, their annual review date was November 2026, and it was done. So because they got it done, in November 2025. Here's one that this student should have had a review for their IEP on 11/14 last, November, not done. So we know that one's overdue. And so the case manager can see that. And we have filters that allow them to say, just show me the ones that aren't due. I'm not doing interactive because I don't have anything without live data. But they could click on this and see, just show me the ones that are overdue, or show me the ones that are approaching and that I need to handle in the next 30 days. And once we started doing that, the folks in special ed said, this is really useful, but we need this for some other things. So our special ed director, I've said before, he's the ideal end user. He knows what questions he wants to have answered. He knows that all this takes time, and he gives real good feedback. So he came to me the first summer I started working here, and he showed me that IEP compliance dashboard, and he says, well, I need 3 more dashboards. And first he wanted progress monitoring for goals, and he really wanted that one. Turns out that's the last one we've been getting to, because the original system that the state had, there was no way to match goals that were set with goal review meetings, that there was no way to match them. So we kind of put that on the back burner. Then he said he needed to know for initial IEPs that there's a time frame. You have a certain number of days between when parent asks to have their student evaluated and then the evaluation is done. They had no way of tracking that except manually. And then special ed days removal compliance was his third wish, and I'll talk about that later in detail, because that one is a really complicated one. So this used to be the data. This is a data set that would be downloaded from the state's old system, where you would have student name and number, some birthday information and stuff, and here was when the initial request was made, and a written notice was done, and parent consent was given. If parents hadn't consented in the old system, we didn't really know whether or not a parent had given their consent. And then we had these tested and case conferences held fields, which were so badly formatted. And this is what the staff had to look at to try to figure out who they needed to do a case conference for. So you were relying on staff being very comfortable working in Excel or Google Sheets to use filters and such. And they were not happy. So, I'm sorry, I'm losing my train of thought here. So what we do now is we take data from the state, and they've moved to a new special ed tracking system this last summer, and we can download the information on when the evaluation, was requested, whether or not the parent has consented, all that. And if necessary, we get information from the SIS. We use PowerSchool. And here's the detail that our staff see now. So they can go in and they can see for the student that, well, there's no initial eligibility due date for the student because the parent didn't actually sign the form they need to sign to give the consent. So we now have that information, can report it. We can see the student's compliant. They've already done the initial review and they beat the February 4th date, so that's compliant. Here's some that are approaching. These need to be done. Now when I did this, 1/6 was still approaching, but so they can now look, and again, they can filter by compliance status to see who do I need to worry about. I think I did change this dashboard after I did the screenshot to replace it. Instead of looking up a student by their STN, I switched it over so they can look up by name. And then for the administrators, they always want to know, well, how are we doing? So we have a couple of dashboards at the district level. We can see that we actually have, out of 145, we had 38 compliant, 20 approaching, 77 missing the parent parent consent, and only 10 overdue. Going back to this previous one, I know that I was told by staff that it's very helpful now when the parent calls to complain that, well, you haven't finished the student's review yet, I haven't heard anything, and they go and they look and go, well, you haven't signed the consent form, so they see it very quickly. They don't have to get on the state system and look that up. We also filter things by grades because you know how administrators are. They want to know, well, is it, okay, is it our elementary schools or middle schools, high schools? Where do we have the problem? And then we do school level data. There's both, the previous one was a chart, then we have summary data. And I came up with this, I don't remember, I think it was at the first conference I attended where they had a bar and bar chart presented. And this turns out to be really nice because you can very quickly see that, well, there's 6 reviews to be done, 3 are missing that and whatever. So just giving school level data, letting them pick and choose what they like. So the administrators really appreciate having this. So the next one that I ended up doing was the special ed days removal, and this is the one where I started using Tableau Prep. So it's very messy to see what happens. So if a special ed student is out of school due to suspension for 10 days, state law requires that we have a manifestation determination conference to determine a plan of action so that we can figure out what's going on with the student, why they're getting suspended, so we keep them in school. And you have the meeting. Well, it turns out if the student has another suspension and now they've missed one more day, you have to have another meeting. So once you hit 10, you have to have a meeting every time you're out of school for another suspension. And it was really hard for us to see what was going on with PowerSchool. The teachers could not easily see how many days the student was out for suspension. We didn't have any good reports. I mean, they could try to download them, but then they'd have to look up the students, whatever. And then you also had to rely on somebody else to download a report from the state to show if they'd had a meeting, because that's where they would look to know that information. Then they'd have to match that up. So the thing that we have to look at is how many days have they been out for suspension that aren't part of a request for expulsion. The student's being, if they're suspended because they're waiting for an expulsion hearing, then we can't count those days of suspension against the 10. We had to know what's the last day they were suspended, and then when was the most recent MDC meeting. And the first 2 steps, I could figure out, what was going on, number of days of suspension that weren't part of an RFE, and the most recent one using some complicated SQL. To get the most recent MDC meeting, I'd have to have another SQL and take the report from the state and try to get the most recent meeting there. So Tableau Prep made this process easy. Now I said easy, and when I first told David that back in, I think, September, October, it was cleaner than this. I ended up having to add a piece. So what ended up happening is I wrote this, when I first started to put the data in Tableau, I found out I had to do a join between results from a query and the results from this spreadsheet that was downloaded from the state. And I actually had to do a join, not a relationship. And for some reason, I don't remember what the details were, but in Tableau, I couldn't do a join between a spreadsheet and the query the way it was working out. I think it was that it probably because of the aggregation of the second join. So I thought, okay, I'll take it into Tableau Prep. And originally, I would do this where, I'll go to the next slide. I used Tableau Prep to calculate the first day of school, and I would then go through and organize the data so that I could look to see if you've got days of suspension. Then you look to see if the next record also is for a request for expulsion. If so, then I would actually mark that it was a record that we weren't going to count and we would want to delete it. I don't think that's the code I'm showing here. But Prep made it very easy to identify that the days that the student was out for suspension were days that they were part of a request for expulsion. And then I would mark that record to say, don't use this in the count. And then further on in the Tableau Prep process, I would delete those records. And then Tableau Prep would also take the MDC meeting information and sort that and keep only the most current MDC meeting. And that became really important because with the changeover this last summer, we now have data going back to like 2018 or whatever. So the data goes way back, and Tableau Prep allows me to clean it. Back on this slide, I ended up having to add a couple of steps because in November, our special ed assistant director came to me and he said, oh, my son just got a second suspension and the dashboard doesn't show the correct number of days. And when we started looking at the data, we found out that the days that he was suspended had been entered in the attendance system, but not in the discipline. Power School used incident management. The incident management record had no days out of school, but they had marked the days out of school in attendance. So we added steps now that we pull the incident management data, we pull the attendance data, and we check to see if they match. And I can go here and see. So we now say last day of suspension, the number of days of suspension according to incident management versus the number of days in the last day according to attendance. And we can see if we need to check because these don't match, and they know then to go look. And that's been something we've also had even back before November when Joel found the one for his son. I think the second week this thing was in production, he contacted me because one of the TORs had said, well, this student is up to 8 days and the dashboard only says they've been suspended for 4. And we went out and looked, and sure enough, another case of that nobody had entered the number of days the student was suspended in the incident management system. There was a record saying it's suspended, but it didn't say how many days. And so now they know when they see data that doesn't look right to them, they can go contact an administrator at the school and get the information corrected. So that's helpful for them. It's helpful for our state reporting, and it's made it so that it's kind of forcing the data to be cleaner because people can see that there's data here that's not right. And then again, we go back to the filters. This is compliance, so we can see here that these students haven't hit 10 days. Okay, here's a student that has he's had 12 days of suspension according to incident management, and he hasn't had an MDC meeting, so he's not compliant. Here's one where the student had 15 days. There was an MDC meeting, but that was before the last time he's been suspended. Again, they can see very quickly, they can filter and say, okay, I need to schedule a meeting with the student because something has happened and they're out. So that one was a real big one to get done and has proven to be very helpful. And then we just have, again, some summary data here for the administrators, including a chart. Yeah, I saw your comment, David. I love bar and bar charts. I think they're so efficient and they really show you what you need to see very quickly. So the last one is the special ed goal progress monitoring. As I said, our new system from the state is allowing us to finally look at this. So I put the initial dashboard out before Christmas break. Joel said Christmas came early, and we're having a meeting on Friday to finally review it so that we can start getting this one done. And we're also using this, we're tracking Section 504 compliance. It's not a state reporting issue yet, but they expect in another couple of years, the state's going to say, we want, we're going to be reporting on this. It's been really helpful working with Joel. He really knows what to do with data, and using their data, we have been able to track calculations so that we know what's going on. When Indiana changed their system, the dashboard stayed the same. Our end users were happy because it was like, okay, this I'm familiar with. And as I said earlier, it helps us identify cases where we have missing information. For me as a developer, working with Joel and learning how to do this, I've seen other cases where I'll be looking at data and it's like, if we had a dashboard that showed us that this information is wrong, or that there's a mismatch between what we're seeing here and what we're seeing there. And we've been creating more and more dashboards. I have an attendance dashboard that shows when, it's like there's been this many periods, but attendance has only been reported for that many periods. And we can use that now. So because of Joel's leadership and directing me to, put together this stuff, he presented these dashboards and some reports and submitted for Harvard's Strategic Data Excellence Award. And last summer, I was at the conference and I was actually meeting with Cameron when I got a text from Joel that they had won this. And then so there's Joel and there's my boss, Bo. Bo and I are still getting to know each other. He's new and we're getting to know each other. We're getting along a lot better than we did when he started. So it's all good. So I think that's all I got.
That's all. That's terrific. That was wonderful. You got a lot of great comments and things that are going on there. I do have a couple questions for you. But first, I want to say I really do like the bar and bar. I really like that you have to train your new boss. That happens to many of us, and that you also have a boss or a user with a kid in the system. We have that also in our district, so it makes it easier to see things. People are interested in how you put the data in together. I like that you explained how Tableau desktop wasn't suiting your needs as you brought in multiple data sources where Prep helped in that. So one question was, do you set up an automation to run your flows on a schedule?
Well, we're just now working on that. So the state's reporting system doesn't allow us to schedule automatic downloads of the data. So my boss, Bo, he had a session with me and another lady who I think is on the meeting today, Bethany, and taught us we use R for a lot of our work, and we're using a remote server and R I've been putting together something to automate the downloads through that. And then once those are done, then I can schedule the Tableau dashboards to automatically be updated. Now, one thing I will say, and I think that's where Kate's going to need to pay attention to this, we were on Tableau server and we recently switched to Tableau Cloud. Without having Tableau Cloud Enterprise, we cannot schedule Tableau Prep to automatically refresh in Tableau Cloud.
Nor can we.
So,
Yes.
nor
Yes,
can you.
there's some improvements that they're making, I understand, but yes.
Yeah, so
Depending on
right
how your
now,
Tableau system
I
is set
think
up.
we'd
Yeah.
have to, there's like something else we'd have to purchase, or we'd have to scale up to an enterprise license in order for Tableau Prep to run. So I'll be able to, I'm going to see, since we're using R to automate the download, I'm hoping I can use R to automate Tableau Prep refreshing on the desktop.
Yeah.
So that is what we're using. Right now, we're only updating these once a week, so it's not too big a deal.
Yeah. So thank you for that question, David Pimentel. And now Michael Alfano asks, Ginny, can you speak more about how you connect to the underlying data? He missed whether this was a live connection to a particular system or if you download or refresh extracts at regular intervals, if you haven't already covered that in your previous reply.
Well, the data from the state is a download. Using SQL queries, that is how I can get live data from PowerSchool. And we do have, not necessarily in the special ed dashboards, but we have a lot of our dashboards are, they refresh every morning at 5 a.m. and they're using live data from PowerSchool. We don't usually, I don't know if we have any that are always using live data, but you can do that if you're using SQL.
Yeah.
And I'm sure there's other ways to do that.
Well, I'm really, really impressed with you. We're getting squeezed for time. I didn't see any more questions, but others can put them in. It was really terrific presentation, but I do want to say for both you and for Kate, a lot of thanks. But I hope that both you and Kate take these days to submit the presentations you gave here to the Tableau conference, because these
Cameron really pushed for me to do that. So.
Well done. These are exactly the kind of things that you're looking for. And I know our viewers out there have a lot of experience and great things as well. Just kind of as a reminder, we'd like you to volunteer to share your ABCs, your dashboards, your EWIS. Even if you've presented before, you can be part of it. So if you've got a EWIS, Kate, you were talking about, or somebody else has a early warning system or just an attendance dashboard, we'd love to see the variety that's out there. It'll be great to have all that going. If you have things you want to do for June as well, let us know. This idea of Tableau Prep came up because people wanted to know more about Tableau Prep. And I think we've done a great job there, thanks to you and to Kate. Let me share my screen again so we bring up our thing to remind you of our upcoming dates and upcoming conference things. And if you have more, we can schedule them on demand as things come up. The one on March 19th, that will be a Tableau Public co-sponsored with higher education, the TUG, our TUG, the Community College TUG from California, and the Tableau education in terms of people that teach Tableau to other people. So it really should be quite interesting and a large group to be with. We'll let Stephanie close it out.
Sure, thanks. So I just want to again reiterate our appreciation for those who participated today, not only in the presentations, but also the great chats that have been happening and off to the side. I'm able to join this just to help sponsor. Reach out if you have any questions, just to even chat. Things that come up, didn't get answers, might be able to help you out. So thank you for that opportunity. And then we'll go to the next one. I think it's just the wrap up. Thank you. Yes. Okay. Perfect. Going to make sure we didn't have anything else lingering out there. We are at time. Looking forward to having you all volunteer. Some of you volunteer for that March 4th. Would love to have those attendance behavior course to get you thinking for some of that summer work to get ready for next school year. So kind of like that's our vision. Would love to have a group of panelists join that call. And I think that's it. We're a minute over.
Stay safe, stay healthy. Don't get my cold. Sorry if I was coughing. And have a great rest of your day.